backs now. So Madden has been coming out with their ratings by position over the last week. It's all fun and games till you get to the running backs list, which had us all just a little perplexed, scratching the old noggin. The reigning two-time rushing king, the guy Brandon wanted to be the MVP last year, the stiffest of stiff armors, Derrick Henry, not at the top. Madden's got Christian McCaffrey as the top-rated guy, then Henry and Nick Chubb tied for second. You got Cook, Kamara, and others to follow. Taking that list right there, Brandon. Is your guy Derrick Henry, in your opinion, being disrespected here?
Oh, my goodness. Wow, y'all are getting my blood boiling this morning. We're talking about the wide receivers and not getting paid in the Vontae Adams. Now we're talking about my MVP, the guy who should have been the MVP last year. You know, we're talking about the running back who, you know, was the eighth running back to go for over 2,000 yards and only standing next to Terrell Davis to go over 2,000 yards and 15 touchdowns. He should be a 99. Man, and this is disrespectful. Like, how do you not have him at number one? Now, Christian McCaffrey, there's no knock on Christian McCaffrey. He actually should be a 97 if we're taking out, you know, last year we're just focusing on his raw skill and ability, and we're talking about moving on, and we're talking about this year. Absolutely. But think about what Henry has done over the last couple years. Not only has he been the best running back and gotten it done and went for 2,000 yards, but he also stayed healthy. Christian McCaffrey came off a big year where he was in the conversation to be MVP, Joy, and then all of a sudden he got hurt this year. He was banged up. He got back in the lineup, got banged up again. It is a war of attrition at the running back position. One of your superpowers and one of your talents need to be staying healthy. These are dudes that carry the rock or touch the ball 20 to 25 times a game. They are getting beat up, so they got to stay healthy, and Derrick Henry has done that. Okay, and he needs to be number one, Wilds. He not only needs to be number one, but he should have a 99, man, and get this right.
Okay, how about that? Well, they can, you know, maybe it changes throughout the year, so maybe he'll move up. You know who belongs on this list, Brandon? My guy, Jonathan Taylor. You know, I'm a Wisconsin guy. Not really. My wife went to Wisconsin, so I don't think I get to be a Wisconsin guy, but just by proxy. This is since week 11. Now, remember, Jonathan Taylor, they were kind of like, it wasn't even, it was running back by committee. He was like one part of a three-headed monster. But then they're like, you know what? You're sort of like the most decorated college running back of all time. Why don't you sort of handle the load? He said, will do. Now, Joy, you got Carson Wentz back there. I think Carson Wentz can look out to Jonathan Taylor, who's gotten better at catching the ball, got better every year in Wisconsin, came into the league like, can he catch? Yes, he can catch. He racked up 300 yards almost through the air. So I think Carson Wentz can look at him. He's going to have he's going to be great. We know that defense is going to be great. I'm oddly all in on the Colts, Carson Wentz, and Jonathan Taylor, Joy.
Ugh.
Oh, finally you came to my side.
I am.
I got to remain calm. I got to remain calm throughout this so I can make my points. I mean, the disrespect to King Henry. All right, let me put my Queen Petty crown on and defend King Henry. If this is a list of receivers, then yes, Christian McCaffrey should be above Derrick Henry. But for so many reasons, this is egregious. Yes, Brandon, you're right. He should have a 99 rating. But Derrick Henry's 2019 season was better than Christian McCaffrey's 19 season rushing only. And Christian McCaffrey was injured almost all of last year. How is he ranked higher than Derrick Henry? And Derrick Henry's impact on his team is more evidence, considering that the Panthers were 5-11 2 years in a row. The reason that Derrick Henry, the reason that the Titans are relevant, the reason that they are competitive is because of Derrick Henry. His impact is shown in wins and losses, not just statistics, not just fantasy football, which I love, but we're talking about real life here. Like, this is Madden. You got to rank things how they show. What is the impact of this player on the field? Derrick Henry is one of my favorite players in the league. He might be my favorite to watch. There is no other player that looks like him, that runs like him, that has the power that he has. He's tossing guys with his pinky finger across the field. It's magic to watch, but this is absolutely disrespectful. I understand Christian McCaffrey is the dual threats, and he is an incredible player, but he was injured all last year. And what pushes Christian McCaffrey into a different space is his ability to catch the ball. But that's not, if we're talking about rushing, if we're talking about running backs, we talking running backs? No. Derrick Henry is the best running back in the league, and he is miles ahead of Christian McCaffrey as a running back. As a receiver, we're having a different conversation, but that's not what we're talking about here. He's absolutely being disrespected with this ranking and having Christian McCaffrey above him.
Yeah, and you're 100% right with what you're saying. We don't even have to talk about Christian McCaffrey. Like, he's a dog, but everything you said was on point. Just honing in on Henry. Think about this, and this is why I was adamant about him being MVP and us needing to change the conversation around the MVP, because it really is a quarterback award. That's what it's really come down to. But the hardest thing to do in the National Football League, there's two things, right? The hardest feats is to rush for over 2,000 yards and go for, have a season where you have 20-plus sacks. Those are some of the hardest things to do. They're barely done, okay? For this guy to be the 8th guy to ever do that, like, he needs to have way more respect. Not only put a 99 on his name, put a 99.5 on his name. We can't give a guy 100. But that's why this is so disrespectful, America, because this is one of the hardest things you can do in football. Joy, you know this. We've seen guys throw for 30 touchdowns year after year. We've seen them throw for 40 touchdowns. We've seen receivers go for 1,500, 1,600 yards. We've seen defensive backs come down with 10 interceptions. But we rarely see this. This is something to be celebrated, and they're continuing to disrespect his name. They disrespected his name at the award show, giving Aaron Rodgers the MVP, and they're disrespecting his name now with this Madden ratings.
Well, I do think that Aaron Rodgers deserved the MVP, but I do also completely agree with you that Derrick Henry and Aaron Rodgers should have been much closer, because Derrick Henry actually affects wins and losses. If you take Derrick Henry off of that team, they are, I don't even believe that they're in the playoffs. I think he's one of the most, if not the most, if we're really having this conversation, the most dominant offensive player in the league. If you look at his numbers, his consistency, his availability, and you know, obviously the offensive line plays a major role in running back success, but Derrick Henry is a whole nother level up from every other running back in the league to me. And I think that if you have eyeballs and you look at the statistics and you look at the effect that he has on that offense, that you would agree with me.
Eyeballs being the key.